What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. The Gun Witch is just an amazingly fun hero to play. If you like ranged classes and you like having extreme mobility options and being able to get around the map quick, there really just isn't a replacement for the Gun Witch, as she just hits every mark with very, very high notes. One of the great things about the Gun Witch is every one of her abilities is extremely fun to use, and with the proper build, you can make it so you are directly rewarded for using all these abilities. The more abilities you use, the more damage you can stack up, and this is all done through proper modding. Now, the Gun Witch itself, her beast mode ability is without a doubt the Ice Needle. Ice Needle provides crowd control, it's spammable, and it just hits really, really hard. So this particular build, although we will be using all of our defenses, it is going to be focusing mainly on the Ice Needle. Now, the Gun Witch did get lots and lots of buffs with Chaos 8 Shards returning to the game, and this is a Chaos 8 Shard focused build. If you don't have Chaos 8 Shards yet, then I would suggest checking out the Fun Witch video, as there were no Chaos 8 Shards in the mix there, and it's a really solid build that this build was basically built off of. Now let's take a look at the stats. This is an ability power build focusing mainly on the Gun Witch's abilities, specializing in Ice Needle, so we are going with ability power on every single piece. So you want to make one exception here, and that is getting enough hero health to get to your comfort level. However, as many pieces as you can, you want to go ability power. I went ability power on absolutely everything. However, giving up one or two pieces for hero health can definitely be a strong move, as dead heroes, of course, do no damage, and the longer you stay alive, the more damage output you're going to have. Now, the reason I'm able to get away with this, of course, is the high Ascension, and I've got my Ascension maxed out in hero health. I would suggest people go with hero health on the weapon as their first choice, as it is a big, nice, strong secondary number. Plus, a lot of times you can survive with just this hero health and the Ascension you have, and focus on keeping ability power on all your other pieces. Now, since this is an ability power build, we want to focus on ability mods all the way through. We're going to go with Healthy AP Chip, Ability Chip, and Mana Burn AP Chip on every single piece of gear. Now, to fully maximize Mana Burn AP, of course, we want our mana to be low, and that's just not a problem with the Gun Witch, because you're going to be spamming her abilities all the time, and her ability resource is constantly going to be drained. With that same note, the best thing you can do on this Gun Witch build is spam your abilities, keep your resource down to 0, and just rely on the natural regen of the build to make it so that you can keep spamming that Ice Needle. So Healthy AP Chip, Ability Chip, and Mana Burn AP on every piece of armor. Now on the weapon, I'm going with Focused AP Chip, which is really the required mod of the build. With Focused AP Chip and nothing else at all in this build, you can put out really good numbers on the Gun Witch by just following this playstyle. Then I'm going with Frostfire Remnants, as Frostfire Remnants just has that lane clearing power. It's tough to turn it down. And then the Piercing Ice Chip. Piercing Ice Chip is a mod from a prestige weapon, meaning that you'll get one every time you use Ancient Power, or you're randomly rewarded with one each 10 floors in Onslaught. These are tradable items, so always keep an eye out on player markets, as that may be the easiest way for most players to come up with a Piercing Ice Chip mod. Taking a look at the shards, we've got Zero Entropy, our first Chaos 8 Shard right here in the head. Ice Needle only affects a single target, but damage is increased by 39%, and duration is increased by 6 seconds. This is the freeze duration, y'all. It's increasing it like a mofo. Then we're going to Frozen Core. Of course, this is a build that is centered on Ice Needle, so we want to pack in as much Ice Needle damage as possible. And then Mana Capacitor. Now, I have mixed emotions about Mana Capacitor. It does make it so our ability resource on the Gun Witch gets up to 300, My first choice would be to actually go with Inspiration to reduce the cooldown of the abilities even further. However, the problem is with the build, if you're spamming Ice Needle like you should be, you're not going to have enough ability resource to keep it spamming. So I got rid of Inspiration and went with Mana Capacitor. However, I do encourage everyone to try out each route as they both have their benefits, and of course you do want to keep your ability resource as close to 0 as possible to gain all of that benefit from the Mana Burn AP chip. Moving on to the gloves, we've got Dewey Decimal System. Book drop duration is increased, and the damage done debuff on the mobs is increased as well. Just a natural boss killer. You book drop the boss, even if it can't be booked, you still get that damage increase, so drop this on every boss before you kill him. Then we've got Critical Strike, kind of a no-brainer with any DPS hero. Increases your hero crit chance by 14%. That is just good stuff. And then going with Price of Power, another Chaos 8 shard, increases damage of 2 at twice the price by 39%. Now, this shard is completely optional, however, I think most people would agree that 2 at twice the price is a really fun ability to use. Is it the most effective ability compared to Ice Needle? Absolutely not. However, it's still a blast to use, and the name of the game is having fun, right? So make sure you're giving your 2 at twice the price a little extra damage and really clear those lanes with it. Now moving on to the chest, we've got Drenching Broomnado. Broomnado damage increased and has a 25% chance to drench enemies. Of course, we know drenched enemies are susceptible to other combos, so any form of drench we can put on the bads is a good thing. Then we got Scatter Power, increases scatter sweep damage by 46%. This is going to be something that you can use for any big packs as shieldies or geodes. Scatter Power is definitely going to get it done for you. And then Superconductor, another Chaos 8 shard. This one reduces the cost of all of your abilities by 19%. Of course, cheaper abilities are abilities you can spam more frequently, so let's reduce the cost of them. Now, there's one adjustment here on the chest. If you are having any sort of survivability issues, I would suggest dumping Scatter Power. I would keep Drenching Broomnado and Superconductor, and going with one of two things. Either a nice Bulwark shard to bust up your armor and buff it up to 52% when gilded, or going with Taser Suit. Taser Suit is another Chaos 8 shard. When you take damage, you have a chance to electrocute the enemies around you for 3 seconds. This is particularly helpful against assassins as it is an AoE electrocute, so as long as they're not headstrong, if assassins attack you, there's a chance that all of the assassins that are around you are going to get stunned. Those are both really good survivability options on this Gunwitch build. And then last but not least, the boots. There's only really one required shard, that's the speed boost. Just do it. Everybody, every hero, builder, DPS, whatever, needs the speed boost in there for sure. And I'm going with Broomnado Power. Broomnado is another one of those great abilities. You can drop it in a lane and just walk away and let it do its thing. So let's increase that Broomnado Power by 46%. And then just because I didn't have another third shard to throw in, I'm going with Radiant Critical Power. So why not give a little buff to the defenses that are in my immediate area. Now taking a look at the weapons, we've got Inspiring Strikes. Hero attacks reduce the cooldown of your abilities by 0.5 seconds. This means your primary attack, so just your spam attack. So while you're spamming those Ice Needles, you will want to spam your regular attack. Now since we're going to be spamming our regular attack, we want to go with Critical Restoration. Comes from Chaos 2, it's a primary attack, crits restore 5 broom power, and this is going to be a big chunk of your restoration to keep your Ice Needle spamming. So you keep your ability resource at 0, keep spamming your primary attack, and each time you crit, you're going to gain 5 broom power, and that's just going to allow you to fire those Ice Needles off. Serpent God's Fury, when you crit with a primary attack, reduces the cooldown of all your abilities by 1 second. The effect has a cooldown of 1 second. This particular Chaos 8 shard is just huge, particularly on the Gunwitch, as it just matches the playstyle just perfectly. Now there's a mod and a shard that directly work together in this setup. The first thing would be Zero Entropy. The Ice Needle damage is increased, but it only affects a single target, so you lose the pierce from the Ice Needle. However, If we then take a look at that mod, Piercing Ice Chip is going to give us that pierce right back at a reduced amount of damage. So no longer by having 0 entropy are we only hitting one target, we are penetrating the entire pack. So all of the enemies that are there, well, up to 17 with this particular mod, it is going to pierce all of them. Now, the general playstyle of this build is Ice Needle spam, as I mentioned. As you watch the cooldown here, as I'm spamming my primary attack, my cooldown on Ice Needle just instantly disappears, and you're able to just keep that spamming out for a really nice overall DPS. You see we're averaging like 29 million here. Not too shabby at all. Now, although it is based off of that spam and Ice Needle, the true one-shot power of this build comes from that focused AP mod. Now, this does work with every one of your abilities. We're going to specialize it with Ice Needle. However, the same principle applies to everything else, and that is to keep your abilities on cooldown. Now, we have a lot of really long cooldown abilities on the Gun Witch. First off, we have Dragolich the Pet. That's a 60-second cooldown, and it does count towards those focused mods. In addition to that, we've got 2 at twice the price and Broomnado that both have long cooldowns, and we can really spam these out. So when we stack all of these items up, we end up with really, really nice big Ice Needle shots. You saw that one was 177 million there. Not too bad for just one Ice Needle crit. Now remember, this isn't even taking advantage of the mana burn mods. So if you pop into a map and you do the same thing, you can easily just spam out Ice Needles one after another that are around that 200 million range. Now remember, this is in all Chaos 7 gear with only one decent mod. I've only got one 10 out of 10 mod in the armor set. So this is with subpar mods and still getting this kind of performance in all Chaos 7 gear. So just a super, super strong build. Really, really fun to play. And as I mentioned, that stacking with focused AP does apply to all of the defenses. So say you wanted to get the 2 at twice the price going, you could do just the opposite. Say we put our Broomnado, say we got a lane over here and we throw the Broomnado down, and then we got a big pack here. We want to book drop them, spam Dragolich, and then take a look at 2 at twice the price. And oh my gosh, it is ripping out 38 million. What was that one? 26 million, 20 million damage per second with that one ability and all of its hotness. This primary principle works with every single one of the abilities, whether it be the Scatter, whether it be the Broomnado, whether it be 2 at twice the price, or if we are spamming out those big Ice Needle shots. Now, taking a look at Ascension, of course, with all DPS heroes, you always want to go into hero crit chance and hero crit damage first. With this particular build, I personally would suggest going up to Broom power capacity after that to increase your maximum mana pool and get that Broom power kicking. And then, of course, after that, once again, go down to Ice Needle freeze duration and get your freeze duration capped out. In the defense category, of course, the Gun Witch has no defenses. Go full ham into that Ice Needle. It's just going to be payday for you. So dump all of your points in the defense category into Ice Needle damage. Now, I mentioned before about the Ascension and hero health. You want to get as much ability power on your gear as possible, and that means you're going to want to put points from your Ascension into hero health. So I would suggest going full on, first things first, book drop, get that book drop duration increased, and then go full on right into hero health. If you choose to, and you like using 2 at twice the price all the time, you get a 2-second increase on the duration there, not too shabby. My personal route is to go full hero health right after book drop, and then go 2 at twice the price. And as you see now, I'm finishing out that Broom Swarm damage down at the bottom. As you see, 0 points into hero damage. You don't want hero damage, as that's just going to take away from your ability power. So hopefully this helps everyone build their Gun Witch up nice and get those big shots out there with a hero that has amazing mobility, lots of fun abilities to use, and double jump. I mean, what more can you say? Double jump is the stuff. get you some double jump in your life with that amazing amount of versatility that comes with everything else. The Gun Witch is just without a doubt a huge win. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button and please subscribe. I will be back soon with more Dungeon Defenders 2. You can count on it. Thanks again. I will see you next time. Take it easy.